Hi everybody, thank you for joining me for this particular series of Crackle mediums from Cadence. Now in this video we're going to be focusing on the Cadence Spider Crackle. Now this is a two-step process and you get this in an array of colours. Now for every colour that you go for, whether it's the blue, the antique brown, cashmere or transparent, you will get a step 1 bottle. So in every casing of this you're going to get 2 mediums. Now for this particular project I'm going to focus on the transparent, and the same process and result goes for all of these particular colours, and that way you're going to get the same result. But of course there's an advantage to that. You may want to use the blue one over some beautifully glazed plant pots. You may want to use the brown to get a really nice antiquing effect. You can completely change the result with the coloration, but again the process of application is the same for all colourways. So I'm going to pop these ones to one side, and to begin with I've got some rice paper here and I've glued this down already to my board. I've used my Cadence napkin glue for that process. So what I'm going to do is go straight in with step 1 here. Sometimes the bottles can look a little similar, so just double check as well. Step 1 and step 2 is always marked on the front just so you can ensure you've got the right one. Now this here is very matte on my rice paper, and the bottom section you can see is shiny. So just up to halfway there, I've already placed step 1. But I'm going to show you the consistency and application of it here across the top of this rice paper. So giving it a good shake, you can almost hear this one has much more fluidity to it. So we're going to go directly down the side of this particular piece of rice paper, and we're going to use one of our flat brushes here. Now we're going to work from right to left. You can work from left to right, or you can go from top to bottom. It really doesn't matter, just as long as you're picking a direction to work with for each individual step. So from right here, I'm just going to prime the brush and then start to drag it across the surface like so. Really quick application for this medium, super slick. It almost has a holographic effect to it when it first is applied to the surface. So spreading it evenly all the way over and then just up to the edges. We can go a little bit up and down here because then we finish it off with that sweep again here. That there is the application of step 1. So you can see there, this then turns into this. So fully translucent, but you can see if I put my finger on it, it comes up. It's quite sticky, okay? So that there, you know it is ready for step 2. The brush with step 1 on, we want to wash that, put it to one side. You don't want to mix step 1 and step 2 together on the same brush. Of course, that could actually affect the way that your crackle will appear. Sitting that in some water, we're then going to grab a similar size brush. Again, make sure all the moisture is removed from this brush. If it isn't, just get a bit of cloth, really brush it into it, take any of that moisture out. That will prevent any sort of imperfections with your crackles. So then we're going to go into step 2. Now this is the translucent one. I will actually show you as well, just applying a little bit of the blue so you can see that step 2 as well. So I'm going to go all the way down the side and the top here, just all the way over there. There we go. And we want to drag it down now. So I've popped a little bit more here because I'm going to leave a little bit of space there for my blue. So because we initially applied step 1 horizontal, we're going to go vertical this time. So sweeping it down over the surface. And again, notice how step 2 is pretty much a similar consistency with this. So all the way over, there we go, just like that. Making sure to cover all of the surface. And again, you want a nice thin, even layer. It doesn't have to be too thick, so it's almost flooding off the edge of the page. You want it to be nice and contained. And you can see here, there's some slightly thicker areas, so I'm just going to even that out with my brush. Now I'm going to use the same brush for this because it's all step 2. I'm going to put a little bit of the blue down so you can see what that looks like. Again, little shake because it's one of the colour ones, and pop some of that just here. And then with that colour, you can spread that down and the pigmentation follows around onto the surface and gives it a haze. So there we go. And it will dry translucent but with colour pigments in there, which is just fabulous. So you can see there that blue haze that we have in comparison to the transparent one. So again, over mosaic tiles, over porcelain pots, it would just look fabulous. So we now want to set that out of direct sunlight at room temperature, just with your natural lamps on within your home, and you want to leave that for about an hour to dry, okay? And you don't want to add a heat gun or a hairdryer to speed up the process. Heat can affect the way it cracks. And again, it can actually stop it from cracking properly. So allowing it to set will give you the best results. And also with that in mind, it means you can have multiple projects on the go and you don't have to keep coming to check on it. It will just do its own thing on its own. So I'm going to set that to one side, and then here we have our finished article. Now this here is the spider crackle, and you can see here straight away, look at that. It is just incredible. Now again, with your transparent one, the crackles are much larger. And because it's a spider, it creates what looks like a cobweb effect. So as I lay it flat there and tilt it, you can see especially in all of that area, you've got literally what is webbing. It looks incredible. Now we can bring out some of that crackle if we want to. Again, this almost looks as though a really authentic lap tray with the glazes that have cracked. It's almost like when you see those road signs that you drive past and the paint over the UV exposure is eventually just cracked and dispersed. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to pick up from here, just on a little sponge stick. I'm going to get some white paint. So I'm just going to pick up some white hybrid paint here. A very, very small amount is needed. I'm going to pop it into my palette. There we go. And I'm also going to add a spritz of water in my palette as well. So I've got a little pool of water going off. Now I'm going to pick up the water first, and then I'm going to pick up a little bit of paint. So I've created a sissing effect with my paint there. So you can see we've really thinned that down. Now a little bit of tissue, a rag is perfect for this because you're using hybrid paints, so we're going to continue to burnish it down and then this can just be disposed of afterwards. So with that in mind, with that white paint, I'm just going to go into this corner. So if I bring that here, we'll capture this area. We'll go over with that white, and then with our tissue, we just wipe it back. Now what that does, upon reveal, will add definition. So I'm going to again keep going in and building this up. Bit more of the white here, wipe it back, and you can start to see the crackle now is building up. So we've actually added white inlays into that crackle. So I'm going to continue to work down the image. I'm not too fussed about placing any over here because she's already very bright as well. And then a slight spritz of water over the surface is optional, but I would recommend it as that way it keeps the paint really nice and active so you can still take it away. I'm going to add a little bit more paint down to this bottom side because it's quite dark down here. So again, bringing in that medium, being really sort of carefree with this. I'm not being delicate at all, just brushing the paint on, wiping it back. And there we have a beautiful, what now looks like a patinaed oil painting that's been on the walls of a home for years to come, or it's been discovered somewhere, been unearthed. You can see here how intense it is, and here it's much paler. So again, we can go in with a little bit more of that white, knock that back, and again, really match up that consistency. It's beautiful. You could add any color to this. It could be your gold metallics, any shade you wish to work with. But that there is how you use your Cadence Spider Crackle. And again, this comes in a two-step process in a variety of colorways as well. And every colorway of every crackle medium that Cadence provides, it is the same process. Thank you ever so much for joining me for this video today, and I hope to see you in the next one. If you want to see more from Highlight Crafts, make sure you click the like button, subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below, and click the bell icon to receive notification of all our future content. You can also click here to see our latest video, or click here to see more videos like this one.